وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
How's everybody doing?
الحمد لله.
Okay, must be late. It's almost 11 where you are, Salah?
Well, yeah, the day just started.
Alhamdulillah. Your day just started?
No, I meant I'm just saying my energy's up. Alhamdulillah, the day just started.
Oh, okay, subhanallah. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salam ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima tu'allimuna wa zidna bi fadlika ilman wa ta'liman innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. Okay. So it says bab istihlaf al-khusum. Okay, having the plaintiff, the person who's making a claim against somebody, swear an oath. So it says أخبرنا مالك أخبرنا داوود بن الحسيني أنه سمع أبا غطفان ابن طريف المري يقول اختصم زيد بن ثابت وابن مطيع في دار إلى مروان بن الحكم فقضى على زيد بن ثابت باليمين على المنبر فقال له زيد أحلف له مكاني فقال له مروان لا والله إلا عند مقاطع الحقوق قال فجعل زيد يحلف أن حقه لحق وأبى أن يحلف عند المنبر فجعل مروان يعجب من ذلك. So Zayd ibn Thabit, the great Mufti of Medina, and Ibn Muti', I'm not sure who this is. Ibn Muti' is maybe one of the Tabi'een. Seems like it. I'm not sure if it's a Sahabi or a Tabi, I'm not sure. Anyway, another person, they had a debate, had a court case concerning a house, a dar. Ila Marwan ibn Hakam, who was the governor of, and the judge, right? The judge of Medina. فقضى على زيد بن ثابت باليمين على المنبر. He said, you have to, it's going to be yours, right? The default is it is your house because of whatever evidence. But you just need to swear an oath to that effect, right? You just need to swear an oath to that effect that um, that it is yours. And you have to swear in a particular place. You don't just swear an oath. I want you to swear specifically on the minbar of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so you feel the gravity of it, right? Feel the gravity. So Zayd ibn Thabit says, I'm not going to do that. That's not part of the court. That's not a part of the fiqh court process. It's not freestyle, right? Swearing an oath, okay? So you have to bring evidence. You don't bring evidence. If the onus of bringing evidence is on you, then the right of just swearing an oath is on me. If I don't want to swear an oath because I don't want to do that, I don't want to lie, or I don't think it's appropriate, then you swear an oath and you get your right. Okay, that's how it works. You say, Fareed, you stole my pen. I said, no, I didn't. And the pen's in my hand. So therefore it's mine by default. I say, where's your evidence? The judge says, where's your evidence? You don't have evidence. There's no witnesses. So then the judge says, Fareed, will you swear by Allah that the pen is yours? I say, no. So then you swear. Then the judge says, "Will you, the person who's claiming the pen, swear an oath?" So no, I will not swear an oath, but it belongs to me. In which case, you don't get it. So if I nakala, I refuse to swear the oath, then it goes back to you. If you do nukul as well, if you do nakala, you refuse to swear the oath, then khalas, you lose the case. But I could win the case because you're making the claim against me, and you don't have a bayina, you don't have evidence. Then, uh, what's it called? Then I could win the case by swearing the oath. So he's saying, look, I'll have you swear the oath, but in a particular place. فجعل زيد يحلف أن حقه لحق. This right is a right. وأبى أن يحلف عند المنبر. I'm not going to stand on the minbar or go next to the minbar. I don't have to do that. فجعل مروان يعجب من ذلك. right? He was like, whoa, you crazy, right? So the point is, this happened in Medina, and Zayd ibn Thabit, being one of the greatest, he is the founder of the proto-Maliki school, right? So I was mentioned before, Ali al-Madini, he says, none of the Sahaba had madhabs apart from Zayd ibn Thabit, who was it? Zayd ibn Thabit, Abdullah Mas'ud, and Abdullah ibn Abbas. So this Zayd ibn Thabit school of fiqh, the Medinan school of fiqh, he is this key mufti of that whole tradition, and he said that's not part of it. You don't have to put your hand on the mushaf or stand here or stand there. You just swear an oath. That's it. Okay. So he says, قال محمد وبقول زيد بن ثابت نأخذ وحيثما wherever حلف الرجل فهو جائز. That counts. Doesn't mean permissible. It means it counts. ولو رأى زيد بن ثابت أن ذلك يلزمه ما أبى أن يعطي الحق الذي عليه. Right? And had Zayd refused, he would not have refused to give the haqq that was due on him. لكنه كره أن يعطي ما ليس عليه. He said, I don't want to give something that's not mine to give. فهو أحق أن يؤخذ بقوله وفعله مما استحلفه. Right? He has a better right for his word to be taken than the person who was asking him to swear the oath at that particular place, which was Marwan ibn Hakam. So the point is, the place is not part of the process, right? Similarly, putting your hand on the mushaf, that's a thing from, I don't know where that comes from, right? That's to be sworn in, right? I swear to swear. That's part of basically civil law that's come into the Muslim world. Not civil law. Well, in some places, yeah, in Jordan and Egypt, that's part of civil law from Europe, and then in other places, I don't know if they do that but to be sworn in. So the idea is by default you're a liar, and when you put your hand on the Bible and you say, "I swear," by the Holy Bible, whatever it is, and now you're speaking the truth, like you've been sworn in, right? Um, whereas the default in the Deen is that you don't have to swear that you're speaking the truth. You're speaking the truth by default, right? Okay, and this is Bab al-Rahn, collateral. It says أخبرنا مالك أخبرنا ابن شهاب عن سعيد المسيب أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال. Okay, what's up with this hadith, Adib? Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri from Sa'id al-Musayyab that the Prophet ﷺ said. What kind of hadith is this? He is a Sahabi, so it is Mursal, right? So here there's a gap in the chain. Sa'id al-Musayyab is not a Sahabi. He says that the Prophet ﷺ said, so he's not a Sahabi. So this is called a Mursal hadith, but this is a very good Mursal hadith because even Imam Shafi'i, he said, with the hadith that we don't accept a Mursal hadith, with the exception of Sa'id al-Musayyab, because all of his hadiths are connected, right? And so you find it here, for example, in the commentary, he says, هذا مرسل عند جميع رواة الموطأ. Everybody who narrates this hadith of the people narrating from Imam Malik, they all narrate it like this. إلا معنى ابن عيسى القزاز. This is معنى ibn Isa al-Qazzaz, one of the teachers of Imam Tirmidhi, one of the key early Malikis. فوصله عن أبي هريرة قاله ابن عبد البر. Right? So we find that basically in one narration that goes through Ma'an ibn Isa al-Qazzaz, he actually quotes that Malik said that Ibn Shihab said that Sa'id ibn Musab said that Abu Hurairah said. Okay, and that we might object to that, but again, it's very likely because Sa'id ibn Musayyib is the son-in-law of Abu Hurairah, right? And yeah, so that's he says that. وهو similarly we find the hadith in Ibn Hibban and Daraqutni and Hakim and Al-Bayhaqi that says لا يغلق الرهن له غنمه وعليه غرمه. رواه الشافعي وابن ماجه وابن ابن شيبة وعبد الرزاق الصنعاني بلفظ لا يغلق رهن من صاحبه الذي رهنه له غنمه وعليه غرمه. Right. Okay. So it says that the Prophet ﷺ said, a collateral is not locked. Collateral is not locked. لا يغلق الرهن. What does that mean? He's going to explain in different ways, but the idea is that rahan is this rahan is, you say awaqt rahin means the current time. Rahan means means permanence. So what you do is there's a debt or a potential of a debt, right? And we use a rahan to give permanence and stability to that debt. What does that mean then? Is that, for example, I pawned my house, right? To pawn your house, meaning you make it collateral, okay, against the debt, that if you don't pay that debt back, this house will be sold and they will get the debt from the house. They won't take the house. So that means that when I leave my car with you as collateral, when I make my house as collateral, when I leave my mobile phone with you as collateral, it's not yours. Okay? And in this other version of the hadith that you find, it says, له غنمه وعليه غرمه. He has the benefits of it. So I left my camel with you, and the camel gave birth. If had I given you a camel, right? Had I given you a camel, right? And then you gave the camel back to me later on, and in the meantime the camel gave birth, then it was your camel that gave birth, right? If I made a factory, right? I made a factory and I left that as collateral, and the factory made money, it's your money if it's a gift. But if it's collateral, it's my money. So if something is if something is collateral, what it means is it's still mine. I have to look after it, and I get whatever comes off from it. So it's not locked. Okay, it's not locked. Does that make sense? So the whole it's just there such that if I don't pay up, you can sell it to get your right from it. That's all. Okay. So قال محمد وبهذا نأخذ وتفسير قوله لا يغلق أن الرجل كان يرهن الرهن عند الرجل فيقوله إن جئتك بمالك إلى كذا وكذا وإلا فالرهن لك بمالك. Right. So he said so there's an understanding of what a rahan is that basically this is a substitute for what you owe me. So I'm borrowing $10,000 and I'm leaving my car with you. So does that mean that if I don't pay your $10,000 that the car's yours? Or does that mean that the car is not yours, but you have the right to sell it and take your $10,000 from the car? So if it's yours, okay, if it's yours, then as the Hanafis would say, for example, the Hanafis, they say, like, if I give you my car, and I'm leaving my car with you, okay, I'm leaving my car with you as as collateral, okay, that if it gets lost, it is the loss of the person who receives it. So I left the car with you, the car got stolen or something like that. It's your problem because that was like your own money. Whereas the Shafis look at it as I left my money with you in trust, that was all. So you're not liable, right? So that means I lost out. I lost my car that I left with you. For the Hanafis, it's almost like it's a money that was like you've lost your money, right? So you as the creditor who took that car and then lost that car, you've lost out. Whereas for the Shafi'is, they look in a totally different way. So the point is, the hadith is saying that collateral is not really giving, nor is it putting up something as the exchange for the loan. Rather, is that if something happens, I'm leaving this thing with you, though it's still mine. I still have to support it. If it's an animal that needs to be supported, I need to fix it. If it's something that needs to be fixed, I still get the benefits from it. If there are benefits from it, if it's a tree, if it's an animal, if it's whatever it is. But if I don't pay, you can sell it and take your money from it. Does that make sense? فالرهن لك بمالك, right? فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, so the Prophet so here he says that Imam Muhammad says this is what it used to, this is what people used to understand it as, saying, here, I'm leaving my car with you, and if I don't give you the 10K, you can have the car, even though the car's worth more than 10K, right? فَالرَّهْنُ لَكْ بِمَالِكَ. So then the rahan, this collateral that I'm leaving with you, is yours, right? In exchange for, in exchange for the money that I have to give you. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يغلق الرهن. The rahan is not locked up in that way. ولا يكون للمرتهن بماله. So what if it's a house against a tenant? Like I put a house and I register it as collateral and I give you the keys so that nobody can even stay in it. It's collateral. Okay, but against a loan of $10,000. So does that mean that you get the whole house for $10,000? Or does it mean you could sell the house and get your $10,000 from the money that you sold? Right? It's the latter. Right? It's not actually yours. وكذلك نقول وهو قول أبي حنيفة وكذلك فسره مالك بن أنس. Right? So he's taking one side of it, but there's actually more sides to it as well. Right? The concept of the rahan. Right? So there is a fundamental difference. I don't know how the Malikis look at it, but the fundamental different way that the Shafi'is and Hanafis look at collateral. For the Hanafis, it's more of a thing that the creditor owns and is liable for, whereas for the Shafi'is, it's something that the debtor owns and is liable for. It's a slightly different thing. Okie dokie. Okay, so he says, باب الرجل or الرجل يكون عنده الشهادة, somebody who has a testimony to give. So he says, أخبرنا مالك أخبرنا عبد الله ابن أبي بكر. Where are we? So it says عن عبد الرحمن بن عمرو بن عثمان. Okay, أخبره أن زيد بن خالد الجهني أخبره أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ألا أخبركم بخير الشهداء. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, shall I not inform you of the best witnesses? الذي يأتي بالشهادة أو يخبر بالشهادة قبل أن يسألها. Is the person who is a witness to something, a crime, a murder, or something like that. ويأتي بالشهادة, he comes and he bears witness in court. قبل أن يسألها, before he's even asked. He doesn't wait. He doesn't wait. قال محمد بهذا نأخذ من كانت عنده شهادة للإنسان لا يعلم الإنسان بها. So I'm a witness. Okay, Salah is trying to get his money from Adib. Salah, I don't know. Salah doesn't know that I was a witness. So Salah, he has one witness, but he needs two. So I'm the second witness, but Salah doesn't know that. So I'm just quiet about it. 10 years later, Salah's telling me, yeah, I actually lost money like that. I said, yeah, I know. He says, how do you know? I said, well, I was there. So you were there. So yeah, I was witness to that contract you did with Adib. So for crying out loud, why didn't you come and tell me so that I could have got my money from Adib? Oh, you didn't ask, right? So he says, as opposed to there was 10 people there, you saw me there, you didn't ask me to come. I'm not obliged to come, right? So man kanat indahu shahada, I'm a witness for something. لا يعلم ذلك لا يعلم ذلك الإنسان بها. The person doesn't know that, or somebody was killed, right? I saw somebody being killed. You can't just not tell anybody. فليخبره بشهادته وإن لم يسألها. Let him tell that person, hey, I was there when that person did this. Do you need me to testify or not? And maybe not. Maybe Salah doesn't care. So yeah, I know. Let him to keep the money, right? But the point is, Salah has a haqq to know that I was a witness to it, right? Because he might want to use me as a witness. As opposed to I turn up in court, okay? I turn up in court, okay, having heard that Adib stole Adib Salah's money. They had a contract together and whatever happened. So I turn up in court. That's not a da'wah. You cannot turn up in court and say I'm a witness to something, right? So how does it work then? Is you have something called al-mudda'i al-am. Al-mudda'i al-am is somebody set up by the government. I don't know what you call it. What is al-mudda'i al-am in English? There's a word for it, I know. Al-mudda'i al-am. There's a term for it. So basically, the way that court works is on claims. You can't just come and say stuff. That doesn't mean anything. Like, how do you say that in English?
Like witness verification or
No, it's not
evidence.
that. It's the issue is basically like there's a process. Like,
Public prosecutor.
yes, thank you. So basically, there's a prosecutor. Like, so in at Mudda'is, I'm making a claim, right? I'm making a claim against you. So I go to court and I say, I'm making a claim that Salah stole $10,000 from me and I want it back. So as opposed to Adib said, hey, Your Honor, Salah stole some money from Farid. That doesn't mean anything. That's not a court process. It's not a court process because nobody has a haq that is making a claim over somebody else. Or for example, let me try to find it in English. There's a word for it. Or is it? It's translating it into Dansk Deutsch. Why not English? Why not English? What happened to English? We're not relevant anymore. I can translate it to Chinese, but I can't translate it to English. I'm on Wikipedia. It's not even giving me an English as an option. That's very funny. English? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? No. That's very funny. That Mudda'i al-Am does not come up in English. Why? Maybe they just didn't connect the pages or something. That's really strange. Public prosecution. I'm not sure if that's what it is. Pretty sure. So anyway, going back to the point is, I saw somebody getting murdered. So I turn up in court and say, so-and-so was murdered. That's not a court case. You know what I'm saying? That's not a court case. The court case is this. I, the father, claim that Salah murdered my son, and I want him murdered. You see, like there's a specific, I'm making the claim. I'm the Sahib al-Haq. I'm the person who has a haq. I'm the person who has a right. I'm making the claim against Salah, okay? And it's specific, and I'm saying not just, hey, he killed my son, because that's not a court case. The court case is he killed my son, and I want him killed for that. Okay? As opposed to he killed my son, right? What does that mean? Does it mean it's not a court case? Well, what do you want? You want him forgiven? So yeah, I forgive him. So why did you even bring it to court? That's a personal right that you have. Okay. So when you have somebody like so and so killed so and so or so and so stole this money from so and so, maybe like Salah is like, yeah, some young guns, they came stole like $200 from me. I really don't care. Or whatever. I'm not going to take it to court. And then I run to court and say, oh my God, Salah, the guys mugged Salah and they stole this money from him. Like that's not a process. So in order for it to be a process, you need to have a mudda'i. You have to have somebody claim against somebody else. So that's why you have something called a mudda'i al-am, where he'll make these um, criminal court. What's it called? I think he's called public prosecution, but I can't see the translation here. Translate, please.
Deep wrote in chat, Attorney General. I don't know if that's what you're
Attorney General.
like
Public
district
prosecution
attorney.
attorney. Here it's got. I can see four translations here. So public prosecutor, the most common term. Attorney General, commonly used in governmental context. Prosecutor, district attorney,
Yeah, DA is what you're looking for, I think.
specific use for local prosecutors. But I think it's a mudda'i al-am. That's what it is. Right. Let's compare this now, for example, to a claim of like you're trying to say that your sister committed zina. May Allah protect us all. So we're like, what court case is that? Like, what haq do you have over her? Nothing. Okay, are you four male upright witnesses that saw everything happen? No. So that's nothing, Habibi. That is not a court case. You're not making a claim against her. You're just, just upset, You're just upset with her. That's not a court case, right? So that doesn't mean anything. In fact, it does mean something because you're actually a criminal now. You are now basically, unless she confesses to committing zina, you are now actually considered there's a punishment for you, right? So, but that's not that's debated here. Is it a personal? Does she have a right that you be punished, or is that a societal right? So that's something else. So there are societal rights where you don't need a mudda'i. Like committing zina is a crime to society, so it's not a right on somebody. Theft is a crime to society, so it's not like whether or not there's no you don't need to have a claim because it's not a personal right. Okay, it's not so theft meaning taking someone's property as a personal right. Salah accidentally drove my car away because he we mixed up the keys, and I'm trying to say that I know he's a good guy and didn't mean to, but I actually want that car back. He didn't. We both had new cars. They were the same cars. We bought it the same day. He couldn't remember what the paperwork was and whatever it is, and so he just happened. But I want it back. So that's a personal right. So blood, like murder, is a personal right, whereas like zina and theft are not personal rights. You don't need to have them with mudda'i, right? So that's something else here, right? So here the point is, I'm going to go and tell Salah, hey, I just want you to know that if you are going to make a claim against Adib, I was actually there and I saw what happened. And he's like, yeah, cool. I don't need you to be a witness. That was cool. But Salah has a haqq to know that I was there, right? But if Salah knows that I was there, why do I need to tell him, right? However, it would be if I'm the only witness, then I do have to be a witness in court, right? So there's 20 people. Any of these people could be witnesses. It's fard kifaya for these 20 people that one of them, if asked, has to be there, right? You can't hide your witness, right? So that's something else. Okay, so فَلْيُخْبِرْهُ, he's going to inform the person who has the haqq. He's not going to walk into court because that's not a court process, right? Okay, does that make sense, inshallah? So we're kind of looking some like different discussions here because we're kind of like wrapping up the book a bit. Um, okay, khair. Okay, so Bab, and just give another example as well, like proving Ramadan versus proving that Salah didn't pay his rent on time. So I'm renting out an apartment to Salah. He has to pay it on the first of Ramadan. That's a court case. Proving Ramadan is also a court case, but they're different. So in order for me to prove that it's Ramadan, I need two witnesses in order to get my money from Salah, right? In order to prove that it's Ramadan religiously, I just need one witness. It's not the same thing. So it's Ramadan, it's not Ramadan from two points of view, right? They're not the same thing, right? Um, okay. So now he's going on to al-luqata, which is lost and found. So it says أخبرنا مالك أخبرنا ابن شهاب الزهري أن ضوال الإبل كانت في زمن عمر إبلا مرسلة نتائج لا يمسها أحد حتى إذا كان من زمن عثمان بن عفان أمر بمعرفتها وتعريفها ثم تباع فإذا جاء صاحبها أعطي ثمنها أعطي هو ثمنها. Okay, so he's talking about a luqata. So luqata, lost and found. We got different types of lost and found. Okay. Uh, I was walking down the street, and there's a huge mansion. I was like, oh my God, this is lost and found. What are you talking about? It's not lost and found. It's just there, right? So you can't do lost and found with a house, can you? Because it's just there. I'm walking down the street and there's this huge elephant, right? I'm in a place where there's elephants, right? Somewhere where people have elephants. I'm in the middle of this huge like desert area and people have camels. So yeah, it's a big deal. People have camels. So you can't just start picking up people's camels and say, oh, this is mine. But for example, you're in the middle of Manhattan and there's a sheep walking down the road. There's a kitten walking down the road, right? You're in the middle of, you find someone's wallet, you find a phone, something like that. So how does it work? So basically, if it is at risk, you're obliged to pick it up. If it's not at risk, you're not obliged to pick it up. You know, there's other people who pick it up. Doesn't look like a bad area, you're not obliged to pick it up. If it looks a dodgy area that a kitten can definitely get hit by a car in a minute, you have to pick up that kitten. You have to look after that thing, right? So now you have one of two choices. You've now stopped the wrong. But now, do you want to benefit from this thing or not? See, actually, I would like this kitten myself. Okay, I would like this sheep in myself. I would like to have this wallet itself. One second, I need to plug my phone computer. So now, if you want to have it yourself, this is what you have to do. Is you are going to record it, ma'rifatiha, record what is this? This is an animal of this description. This is a wallet with these kind of things in it. And you are going to announce it publicly. Okay? You're going to announce it publicly for long enough time for the thing like that to be found. So it's like I don't know, something insignificant. You don't have to announce it at all. Something somewhat significant, a bit longer, etc. It depends on what's going on, basically. Generally, kind of like a year. So you've announced this kitten for a year, and so now you're gonna now basically after a year, say now this is my kitten. This is my phone. This is my ring, right? You can now sell that kitten. You can now sell that phone. You can now sell that ring. You can take it apart. You can do whatever it wants. But if the person turns up one day and asks for it, then you are obliged to give it to that person. Does that make sense? That's the whole general idea. So it doesn't mean finders, keepers, losers, weepers. It means finders, users, right? Losers, weepers until they find out that you have it and come and ask you either for it or if it doesn't exist anymore, for its value, right? For its value, right? Does that make sense?
Even in a circumstance of losing that item, like it's entrusted with you, you took the trust and now you owe it.
Say it again, sorry.
So even if like, okay, so I found the ring, I held on to it, but then it got lost, and that person
Yeah,
asked for it back.
but no, that's different. So now, did you choose? Did you want it? He said, no, I was just looking after it. That's it. Like
Okay.
I picked it up in the masjid, and someone's like, "Bro, can you then we have too many things lost. We don't actually have a lost and found process in the masjid yet. So Salah, can you just take it and just for yourself, you personally take responsibility of announcing it?" And you're like, "Sure, I'll do it." Okay. Like the mosque doesn't have that capability right now. It's too complex. So you're doing it yourself. So now you've picked it up, not with the intention of announcing it to keep it, but rather announcing it to give it back to the owner. I break into your house and I steal it from you. You're not liable. There's an earthquake and your house gets swallowed. You're not reliable. Uh, Act of God, something happens. You're mugged, walking down the street with that ring to go and deliver it to that person. So you have your relationship to it is what's called Yad al-Aman. You are entrusted with it. You picked it up with the intention of giving it back. So you're not liable unless there's transgression. You decided to look after it by putting it on your bonnet while driving 120 miles an hour down the road. Like Habib Albi, which problem. You lost the ring. How did you lose the ring? Oh, I put it on the bonnet of my car, the hood of my car. Sorry, speaking American English. I put it on the hood of my car and I was driving 120 miles down the road and it just fell off like randomly. Like, bro, you're an idiot. Sorry. Like, what are you doing? Like, how is that looking after the ring? So in circumstances where there's taqsir, where you didn't look after the ring properly, you're liable. Otherwise, you're not liable. Shift, if your relationship with the ring now is you're announcing it, okay, because you want it, you have a different relationship to it with it now. Okay, your relationship is now that you're liable. Okay, so if you're just looking after it, you have what's called Yad al-Aman. Your relationship with it is that you're trusted. But if your relationship with it is is that you're announcing it to be picked up, you have now Yad al-Daman. You are liable. If there's an act of God, there's an earthquake, it's your fault. It's you have to pay for the ring. You picked it up with that intention. If it's stolen from you, you're liable for it. Go ahead, Salah.
Can the intention be changed at any point? Like I've been entrusted with this every year. It's been publicly announced, and now I decide, you know what, I'll just keep it.
Yeah, but as soon as you change that intention and you start
The
announcing
liability
it,
changes.
now your liability changes. Yeah.
Oh, but you have to announce the change of intention too.
No, you don't have to announce that. But
Okay,
your
because I
your
mean, at
relation
what?
your relationship is now changed, and so now as soon as you've made that intention now, you start but now you have to start announcing it, right? So it's different.
Okay, I guess.
Before you weren't
Yeah.
actually obliged to announce it. Before you picked it up, you're like, yeah, sure. I
Oh,
mean, if
okay.
anybody comes and asks me, yeah, I'll give it to them. I'm not going to use it. I'm just looking after anybody who loses a ring. Yeah, sure. I'm not actually obliged to. I'm not. Why am I not obliged to? Because that's a khidmah. I'm not obliged to do a khidmah for the world.
Yeah.
You picked it up as a khidmah. I'm not obliged to spend hours announcing things for people. I'm not obliged to do that. So if somebody asks, yeah, I'll give it to them. That's it. But now you want it. Like in a year's time, you want this. This look, you showed it to your friend. Like, dude, this is like a $20,000 ring, bro. Like this is expensive. Like, great, I'll have it. I'll have it. But okay, now you've shifted that intention. Now you're obliged to announce it.
Okay.
Right?
And you still have to wait the acceptable duration of like, yeah, it's been a
Exactly.
year. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
basically. And then at the same time, because you're liable, so you say, oh, there's a $20,000 ring with the initials KSS in it. And, if it belongs to anybody, then come and claim it. So then I'm a crook and I come and claim it from you. You're liable because because, right, you're liable you basically shared too much information. You can't do that,
Because you
right?
what? What was the last?
You shared too much information.
Okay.
So it's got to
Yeah.
be clear enough that people are like, if somebody's lost something of value, come and ask me, right? And you're like, what is it? Oh, it's a ring. What kind of ring? You have to, So I lost a Seiko kinetic watch, right? So I left that in my work. So the manager's like, oh, so what kind of batteries do you put in it? I'm like, oh, you don't put batteries in it. It's kinetic. And they're like, there we go, right?
Mm,
Like you gotta be, otherwise you're liable, right? 'Cause otherwise, because people will steal, right? They'll do that. Well, do people steal in the masjid? 100%, right? So, you know,
unfortunately, yeah.
yeah. So this is life, right? If we lived in Jannah, we wouldn't have contracts. We wouldn't do these things where you don't lock your door. I didn't used to lock my door when I was growing up. Grew up in the Shire, my Herefordshire, like, Bilbo Baggins and that kind of that's my world, right? The Shire. But this world isn't like that. Okay. So anyway, that's the general idea here, okay? The general idea here that he's talking about, okay? And he says, um, it says his so now that's the general idea. Just what specifically what was happening during the time of Sayyidina Umar with specific regard to lost camels. And the ضوال الإبل, lost camels specifically. كانت في زمن عمر إبلا مرسلة نتائج لا يمسها أحد. That based in time of Sayyidina Umar, they're just there walking, they're just feral camels. That's what happened. Basically, why? Because a camel by default doesn't need to be looked after. So you don't need to come up to look after the camel. The camel is big enough to look after itself in the desert. Uh, its owner will find it at some point. So just leave it. So basically, they just left them there. حتى إذا كان في زمن عثمان بن عفان. Okay. أمر بمعرفتها وتعريفها. So then he said, look, define what it is. Here's a camel of this age, this size, whatever it is. Announce it. Okay. ثم تباع, and then it will be sold. فإذا جاء صاحبها أعطي ثمنها. Then he said, خلاص. Right, we're not going to have all these feral camels going around. We're going to sell it. Okay. And if somebody says, yeah, that was actually mine, then we give them the money. Otherwise not, right? So there's a number of things like summarized in this. It's not the whole kind of picture, but basically this is what's happening there. Right? قال محمد كلا الوجهين حسن إن شاء الإمام تركها حتى يجيء أهلها فإن خاف عليها الضيعة أو لم يجد من يرعاها فباعها, right? ووقف ثمنها حتى يأتي أربابها فلا بأس بذلك, right? So he's saying this is basically dealing with a kind of a not really a personal level, dealing on a kind of a political level. What do you do with like What would the police do with all this lost and found, right? So it's not what we just mentioned is like on a personal level, right? And there are certain things on a that you can't do on a personal level. For example, um, like I'm driving down some country lane and there's this truck in the middle of the road, right? The truck is just stopped there. And there's nobody in it, and I can't get past. This truck is property, number one, and in the back of the truck is like 500 chickens. Okay, so the truck, I can pick it up, get my friend who's a mechanic, find out how to start it, announce it for a year, and do like that. The chickens are different. So the chickens, um, there's an issue about because the chickens will die, right? If you don't look after them. So the chickens, what I can do of my own free will and my own volition is feed the chickens for free. Okay? Feed the chickens for free. And then when the person comes, I give him his chickens. You can do that. But what you can't do is sell some of the chickens to get chicken feed. You can't do that. However, you could contact the police. The police talk to the government, the Muslim government, and say, yeah, this is the situation. This guy's just found like 500 chickens. He's going to sell 100 chickens, get chicken feed so he can support the rest of the chickens so that when the person who owns these chickens comes along, the chickens are still alive. Is that okay? Yes. So I can't, with my authority, I don't have authority over Salah. Salah doesn't have authority over me. I can't do things with his property without my permission. But I could, if I got the al-wali al-am, if I get the authority over the two of us, I can do that, right? So Salah turns up a year later. Oh my God, actually, yeah, my brother was actually killed. May Allah protect him. He was driving that car. He was killed. This van actually belongs to us. Yes, thank you for the money, and yeah, thanks for looking after the chickens. But then, so now I say, okay, Salah, give me the money for feeding the chickens. He said, dude, you did that. You did that of your own volition. You gave sadaqah of your own volition, right? As opposed to when I went to the government and I said the government who has authority over the two of us and said, hey, I want to sell some of these chickens to support the other chickens or things like that, right? So doing things where I'm gonna, let's say there's food, I need to process the food, I need to store the meat. The truck is full of frozen meat. I need to store it. It's going to cost money in the freezer. I either voluntarily freeze the meat, right? Or I have to go to the Muslim authority over us and say, this is the situation. I need to rent freezer space for this time. I need to sell some of the meat. Is that okay? So there's limitations of what you can do as an individual. So here it's more actually talking about like how it is functioning as a government. What should the government do when it has a bunch of lost and found stuff? So classic thing that will happen in the masjid is masjid people are well-intended fools, right? May Allah protect us. Well-intended industrious fools, meaning you don't know anything about fiqh, A, and you don't ask fuqaha, B, which is a problem, right? So just because you're religious, meaning well-intended, does not mean you know fiqh. So what most masajid do is just random stuff, like give it all charity. So do you, the masjid, have authority over my property? No. So why'd you give my money? Why did you give my coat away? Oh, we announced it. And so how long do you announce it for? A week. That's not that long, really. A coat. So there's a certain point where it's like we can't keep 50,000 coats for 50,000 years. And we've announced we have a lost and found thing. It's on the app. It says it there. We've informed the local police. Anybody who's lost anything, it's there when people come to the masjid, join the WhatsApp group. It says lost and found. Da, 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 da. We announced these coats for 5 years. Okay, we're going to give them away. As opposed to they just do random things, right? A lot of masajid, they just do random things. Or they will make themselves the Imam and Amir al-Mu'mineen. The masjid will see themselves as we have the discretion to make decisions for other people's property, which you don't. So you're in an awkward situation. A masjid in America is in an awkward situation that is different to a masjid, for example, in a Muslim country. Let's say I'm in Jordan, there's a masjid. The masjid is going to be run by the Ministry of Religious Endowments. The Ministry of Endowments is under the King Abdullah of Jordan. He is in charge of the Muslims. He has, whether you like him or not, that's something else. He has authority over you. So he says, oh, by the way, the law is this. There's a law of how they deal with these things. So they've made a law. Whereas if I'm in a masjid, right, and I see myself as Amir al-Mu'mineen, like I'm in charge of the Muslims. You're not actually Habibi. You can't actually make decisions for me, nor can you make decisions for my property. You can't do that, right? So there's certain things. So what they need to do, board members, number one thing with board members is you may be religious and you may have good intentions and you may have made it in the dunya and now you're busy trying to make it in the akhirah too. But Habibi, for crying out loud, go and ask a mufti, right? And I don't know whether the quote is somebody can chat GPT it. As they say, you know, خير السلاطين من كانوا على أبواب الفقهاء والشر الفقهاء من كانوا على أبواب السلاطين. The best people who are in authority, like board members, are those who are standing at the doors of the scholars. Sheikh, is this, we want to do this, is okay. Sheikh, we want to invest in this. Sheikh, we're going to do this. Sheikh, we're going to use the money in this way, right? We're going to get the zakat al-fitr and we're going to invest it in another company, right? This is what they do. Crazy things, right? And saying, oh, we'll give more money to the poor. Habibi, you cannot invest zakat al-fitr, right? You can't do that. So they do crazy things. They treat themselves as if they're the Amir al-Mu'mineen, but they're not. So the best people who are in charge, parents, managers, board members, heads of Islamic companies, are those who are sitting on the doors of the scholars. They go to the scholars, say, Sheikh, is this okay? Sheikh, how can we have a problem? Sheikh, we need advice, right? Or they might even bring a scholar on. They say, listen, we need him, like he's going to be part-time employee. Whenever we have a fatwa, we need him. Like a lawyer, right? Big companies, they have lawyers, right? Where's your scholars? Right? They don't do that. وَالشَّرُّ الْفُقَهَاء مَنْ كَانُوا عَلَى أَبْوَابِ السَّلَاطِينَ. And the worst scholars are those who are sitting at the doors of the people in charge saying, give me money, right? So, one of my teachers, I used to see this, one of the princes in Jordan, he used to go to his house, but he wouldn't go to the prince's house. The prince would go to his house, right? Okay. So anyway, he says, Imam Muhammad says both are fine. He says if the Imam, the ruler, wishes to leave them, حتى يجيء أهلها, that's fine. You just leave them, right? Because they camels, they can look after themselves. فإن خاف عليها ضيعة, if he's scared that these animals will die because they're sheep, for example, they're not camels, because there's crooks around, whatever. The world is a different world. أو لم يجد من يرعاها, there's nobody who can look after them. فباعها, then the ruler can sell them. You can't sell them, but the ruler can sell them. You can sell them after a year, but the ruler can sell them immediately. It's different thing. ووقف ثمنها, right? And he's going to here وقف. It says making it an endowment. Where is this? Yeah, it doesn't mean making an endowment. He just basically keeps the money. حتى يأتي أربابها فلا بأس بذلك. Right? Until the owner comes, just like, yeah, خلاص, you lost your camel. What kind of camel was it? Da, 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 da. Okay, yeah, that was your camel. We sold it for this much money. Here you go. Here's your money. Right? Okay. And he says أخبرنا مالك أخبرنا نافع أن رجلا وجد لقطة فجاء إلى ابن عمر. So Malik narrates from Nafi' from Ibn Umar that somebody came to Ibn Umar فقال إني وجدت لقطة ما تأمرني فيها. I found something lost. What should I do? So Ibn Umar says عرفها, right? Define it. Find out what it is. Okay, it's X, Y, and Z. Okay, it's a bag. It's this kind of bag. It has this much gold in it, this much silver in it. قال قد فعلت, I've done so. قال زد, do it more so. Make sure get a very clear picture of what it is. قال قد فعلت, right? So so here it's kind of, you can understand it in two ways. Define it, also announce it. تعريف is to announce. Announce it. Announce it more. قال لا آمرك أن تأكلها. Okay? I do not command you to consume it, to use it. لو شئت لم تأخذها. You didn't have to pick it up to begin with. Okay, so here it gives a sense that he kind of did something wrong or he shouldn't have done that, right? But as we explained before, the issue is announce it for a long enough time and then you can consume it, meaning sell it, use it, and then you owe the value of it, not the price and not the personal value. What's the difference between personal value, and price? Go ahead,
There's
Salah.
like a, I guess there's like there's a sentimental value and then there's a market value. I mean, if I had like a
Good.
cheap necklace that I really loved for many years, but it was $10 in
Yeah,
the market, it's $10.
it's $10. Okay, but it was worth a million. It was worth the world to me,
Well, I'll get
right?
the world in the next life.
Exactly, right? And so then its price, and so it was worth $10. I was selling it for $20, and it's worth the world to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, there's three different things, right? So I'm looking at the value, not the price, and not your own personal price, right? Personal value, whatever it is, right? So, so you go to a shop, for example, and you accidentally damage someone's goods, right? You don't pay the price, you pay the value. You know what I'm saying? It's two different things. So when they say, you damage it, you pay for it. That's not sound, right? That's not true. It's not like you damage it, you pay for it. I mean, you want to do that, khalas, I don't mind it. I'll give that as charity. I don't mind. I'll pay for it. Khalas. My kid was messing around. I told him not to, didn't listen. Whatever. I'll pay for it. I don't mind. But as a haqq, no. I owe you the value, right? So I stepped back and stepped on a plastic spade in your shop. What's the value of the spade, not what you're selling it for? It may be that you're selling much more than its value, right? Exactly, the market value. It might be more, might be less, might be on a discount, right? Might be selling it for discount. So the price of it was nothing, right? أخبرنا مالك أخبرنا يحيى بن سعيد الأنصاري قال سمعت سليمان بن يسار of the muftis of Medina يحدث أن ثابت بن ضحاك الأنصاري حدثه أنه وجد بعيرا camel بالحرة in الحرة which is some area I believe in Medina فعرفها he announced it ثم ذكر ذلك لعمر الخطاب فأمره أن يعرفه then he mentioned it to Sayyidina Umar and he said announce it قال ثابت لعمر قد شغلني عنه ضيعتي I'm busy فقال له عمر أرسله حيث وجدته. Okay, so now you've picked it up and you're too busy to keep announcing it. I'm busy with my own plantation, whatever it is. Okay, just at least go and take it back to where it was. So again, here it was a ba'ir, it was a camel. So the fact that he put it back tells us that it's not obligatory to pick it up, right? As opposed to the kitten in Manhattan, like it's going to get hit by a car or something like that. Or it's not safe. قال محمد به نأخذ من التقط لقطة تساوي 10 دراهم فصاعدا عرفها حولا. So here he says, whoever picks up a lost and found thing that's worth 10 10 dirhams, right? So 200 dirhams is about $700. Okay, so one twentieth of 700 is what? $35? Is that right?
35, yeah.
Yeah. So he says something $35 or more. عرفها حولا. He has to announce it for a year, right? فإن give me a chair, please. Give me a chair. Okay. Just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, just have a guest arriving. 1 second. Okay. So bismillah. So he says what? فإن جاء صاحبها خيره بين الأجر وبين أن يغرمها I believe with a كسرة له يغرمها له. So he says he's either going to give خيرها بين الأجر وبين أن يغرمها له فإن كان قيمتها أقل من 10 دراهم عرفها على قدر ما يرى أماما أياما. Right, so basically as we mentioned, if it's less than that much money, he's going to choose an appropriate time. ثم صنع بها ما صنع بالأول. He does the same thing. You announce it for a long enough time, and then you can have it as your own and sell it, but you owe him the value, or you keep it, etc. وكان الحكم فيها إذا جاء صاحبها كالحكم في الأول. Same rule. فإن ردها في الموضع الذي وجدها فيه برئ منه ولم يكن عليه في ذلك الضمان. If you just put it back, it's fine. Again, here the proviso would be that it's safe. Otherwise, it's going to be fard kifaya. It's going to be a communal obligation for somebody to pick it up, right? And then the next thing that comes after this is laqit, but it's not gonna mention it here. Anyway, so as we have mentioned 50,000 times, this is general exposure to general debates. But this is not how we study fiqh, ladies and gentlemen. So anybody who's like, how do you study fiqh? Oh, in comparative fiqh, that's not how you study fiqh. Similarly, how do you study fiqh? Oh, in a hadith book. That's not how you study fiqh. So you study fiqh in a madhab textbook, and you study Bab al-Luqata, chapter of lost and found, Bab al-Laqit, a foundling, a lost child, Bab whatever it is, and you have that with that specific thing. That's how we actually study these things. But this is kind of just a general overview. Inshallah, we'll come back to this discussion. Let me just finish this last thing here, sorry. So he says, أخبرنا مالك حدثنا يحيى بن سعيد عن سعيد المسيب قال عمر بن الخطاب. So again here, gap in the chain. وهو مسند ظهره إلى الكعبة من أخذ ضالة فهو ضال. Whoever picks up a lost and found thing, then he himself is astray, meaning for no reason. Right? قال محمد بهذا نأخذ وإنما يعني بذلك من أخذها ليذهب بها فأما من أخذها ليردها أو ليعرفها فلا بأس به. Right? So then the third situation, yeah, as I mentioned, you picked it up to give it back, right? Or you picked it back in order to announce it and then to do look that you're going to have it later on. That's the other issue. And so my apologies, I have to run. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك